All right, let's go ahead and talk about the Stud Muffins.
This week's Fantasy Stud Muffins.
All right, this is the part of the show where we go through the guys that, they got it done in fantasy football this week, and we want to know if they're going to keep getting it done or not. Cam Newton. Cam Newton is good.
That was,
good.
I am admittedly one of the Cam Newton skeptics, and that was one of the best games I've ever seen Cam Newton play. He looked great for the most part.
And they won. They're undefeated. They're 8-0. Cam Newton was 15 for 297, 3 touchdowns, 57 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown. He knew when to run. He knew when to throw. They still almost pulled what they did last week, where they almost gave the game away, but they didn't, and that's all that matters at the end of the day.
If Cam Newton could just fix his mechanics and throw...
I don't know that he needs to. I mean, you could say the same thing about Phillip Rivers, right? If Phillip Rivers would just fix his mechanics...
I don't think Phillip Rivers' mechanics are broken.
Yeah, he just
it's
looks
his
funny.
throwing style.
I'm talking about
sidearm.
If you said Matthew Stafford,
yes,
you could tell me his mechanics are broken.
I'm talking about feet, where if he would just plant his feet and not throw falling backwards every single time, which
he can now, but he might not be able to in 5 or 10 years.
And that's my point. And you still see it throughout the game of passes that are not just like slightly inaccurate. He completely misses, and it's because he throws the way he throws. If he would just get that going, then man, he could be so good.
Did you guys see Funchess flash in this game?
Yeah, a little bit.
Got a touchdown?
A little bit.
He's an ascending kind of waiver guy that we'll talk about tomorrow, in my opinion. Marcus Mariota, number one quarterback for the week, 28 for 371, 4 touchdowns, including an accidental touchdown to Delanie Walker.
Which was awesome.
They still count. So you imagine being like a Mariota Walker stack owner in that game, and then you're like, oh,
you watch that play.
And you're like, oh my gosh, that's great.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Mariota basically threw it to the other team wide open.
Two of them.
Like you're playing catch. But the two guys on the defense couldn't decide. It was like playing 500, and they were both going after.
That's what it was. It was a game of 500.
500! And then they couldn't catch the ball, so they run into each other, pop the thing up like it's a Three Stooges bit, right into Delanie Walker's hands, who just continues to
somehow outruns two much smaller, faster people down the sideline. I can't imagine. I want the zoom in camera on Rob Ryan for the play, because I want to see him go from just white hair flopping joy to absolute unadulterated terror.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Why do you hate Rob Ryan so much?
Ask Sean Payton the same question.
Well, he keeps them employed. You can't hate him.
He keeps who employed? Oh, they hate each other. They hate each other. And their defense is terrible. But anyway, Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees had big games this week. Rodgers had 4 touchdowns. He could have had a 5th at the end of the game. He's kind of, it's nice to see that from your stud, right?
Yes, finally.
And what else is, Brees was 28 for 387 and 3 touchdowns. He also ran one in.
Yep.
So he had 4 touchdown game as well. And Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
How did he not hit the button?
Because, I don't know.
I know,
We're not sending in the car. We're just talking about the car.
We sent in the car. Yeah.
Okay, at this point, I feel pressure.
Yeah.
Send in the car. Send in the car.
If you were listening,
things can be selectively funny. You don't have to play them every single time.
I disagree at this moment.
Honk, honk.
If you were, if you're one of our patrons out there and you were over at Join the Foot and you listen to our special Thursday mailbag show that we do over on Patreon, you heard us play that drop about 700 times. It almost annoyed me. We did it so many times because the questions kept being asked, this guy or that guy, and it was always Derek Carr, and I'm happy that he came through for the Foot clan.
All right, wide receivers that stepped up. Antonio Brown, he's a wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And we didn't mention this during the Big Ben injury, but as the information we have right now, supposedly it's just a kind of like a 2-week injury. Luckily for the Steelers, they play the Browns this week, and then they're off. So maybe this was
low impact.
Was a low impact, kind of the best time for this to happen type of situation. If Big Ben is in fact back in 3 weeks, which remains to be seen. But so don't panic if you're an Antonio Brown owner.
Yeah, and you're probably he racked up. What he did is he said, I might not put up big numbers the next couple of weeks. So let's work those weeks into this week.
Let's win a week.
17 for 284, What else is there to say than that? I thought he would have 300 passing yards when it hit halftime. I really did think he was going to get to 300. I'm sorry, receiving yards. Michael Crabtree, 7 for 108 and 2 touchdowns.
Crabtree.
Kicking butt.
Yes.
Kicking butt. That offense has balance between those two wide receivers where Cooper because Cooper had a good week too. People ask, who do I start between them? The numbers on the season said Cooper at the moment. Now they're probably going to be right about the same.
Yeah, well, the big plays had said Cooper. The targets were still Crabtree.
Right.
So this isn't like, what? Michael Crabtree? No, he's getting the targets.
I watched this game really closely. Sammy Watkins had a huge one, 8 for 100 and a touchdown.
This was a surprising one for me, just based off, not his skill.
No, I get it.
But based off of
injury,
how bad his injury was. There was, in the middle of the week, there was the reports that he was off the side because he completely re-aggravated his ankle, and everything was sounding doom and gloom. Coming into Sunday, it was, he's going to be on a snap limit because his ankle is so bad. And then, kaboom! Sammy Watkins.
He actually had 168.
Yeah, I was going to say
yards.
that looked wrong.
I think what happened is he caught 100% of his passes, which is absolutely true. I actually put Robert Woods in my lineup on Friday. Took Sammy Watkins out and put Robert Woods in my lineup on Friday when that report came out that Watkins.
How'd that work out for you?
Sunday morning I put Watkins back in, and it worked out just fine.
So Watkins, if you watched the film in this game, he was manhandling the DBs, and they took shots with him because Taylor's got a good arm for that. Both of his big yardage plays, there was a long 44-yard touchdown pass, there was a long bomb down the left-hand side of the field. One, he got off press coverage and destroyed the guy. The other one, he just straight burned him and put up a Randy Moss hand and said, "Throw me the ball." And they did. And they should.
Yeah.
The touchdown pass from Tyrod Taylor was incredible.
It was perfect.
And I made this comparison to you guys yesterday. Tyrod Taylor is last year's Tony Romo, where he's so efficient. I mean, he's
with his production.
Yeah, he's completing over 71% of his passes. He has one of the highest YPAs in the league. But the problem with him is you're going to get these games where he only has to throw the ball 12 times. And you don't get the touchdowns because Shady McCoy busted off the 50-yard touchdown. And if you had Romo last year, that you had these games intermittently where he was still good, but you were disappointed because he wasn't putting up just massive numbers.
Jason, Sammy Watkins moving forward is a wide receiver.
I would say a wide receiver 1. I think
a 1.
I do. I think he's
bold move.
Yeah, a wide receiver 2 to me is safe. I actually think that as he develops that that connection with Tyrod Taylor,
Michael Crabtree or Sammy Watkins.
Ooh, I'm gonna go Sammy Watkins.
Wow.
Here's why: talent alone. Sammy Watkins, we forget how good he was. He was in the best wide receiver draft class of all time, and he was taken first because he is a Hall of Fame level talent. He has been injured week in, week out. Practice.
Bold words.
That's part of the problem. He's
right.
always hurt.
Yes, and I agree with that. If he continues to be hurt, obviously that's. But he had a bum ankle. He's saying the truth, which is if you target me, I will produce, and they saw that. So I think going forward, they will continue to target him. Percy Harvin is now out. So they're saying, where are we going to go? It's going to be Sammy Watkins. With Crabtree, you've got to really compete for that. And the only competition is really Charles Clay and Robert
It certainly was not Charles Clay yesterday.
We got to move down. We got to move on. Alan Hearns did good. Okay, Julio Jones.
Who was that?
No, I was just kidding. Alan Hearns had another monster game.
Yes.
He is the Michael Crabtree of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
He certainly is.
Is that 7 games in a row?
He's been very, very good. Because he didn't score the game before, I don't think. 5 for 122.
Because it was his bye week.
Well, told you. 5 for 122 and a touchdown. Alan Hearns is an every week start without question.
At this point,
it's 6 games in a row. He's had a touchdown.
And Allen Robinson took care of business. I was worried.
Smoked.
I was worried about
Revis.
Revis, and Robinson was fine.
So Julio 10 for 137. Is that right?
I will double check that.
I don't know if that's the right number or not.
Yep, 10 for 137.
10 for 137. The Falcons are looking mighty fraudulent. They have in the last 4 weeks, they've lost 3 games to bad opponents, and then they beat Tennessee by 3.
That's not good.
Not good. Mike Evans, my start of the week, 8 for 152, 6 drops. The most drops by a wide receiver in a game in 10 years.
And they were bad drops.
And so he is simultaneously a stud muffin and a pooped in his big boy pants, because 8 for 152 with 6 drops.
His drops were
he could have had 250 yards.
We'll tweet out the repeating GIF of his 6 drops. It is delightful and entertaining to just watch him.
Not if you're a Tampa Bay fan.
Volleyball this ball.
They could have won that game.
Over.
The score of that game, I mean, was the result of a defensive touchdown at the end of the game. The game was close, and they couldn't get it done because Mike Evans dropped 6 passes.
He would have had 250 yards.
And a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, here's a surprise. Cole Beasley, 9 for 112 and 2 touchdowns. He was the man last night in their riveting 6 straight loss. Cole Beasley, is he a waiver consideration?
Sure. I mean, he's one of those.
The correct answer was no.
No. He's one of that pack of those when you're searching for a receiver and you know he can do it. He's probably closer to the bottom of that barrel.
Right.
But when you're just desperate and you throw a guy out Cole Beasley's one of those guys.
Jordan Matthews, 9 for 133
Jordan
and a
Matthews!
Touchdown.
Hooray!
Is this going to propel him to superstardom?
Maybe not superstardom, but he looked a lot better. With his catching.
When he was running into the end zone?
No, not even that play. But he made a couple tough catches that he had been dropping.
I agree with you.
So
he's in the wide receiver 3 mix,
and that's fine. To me, he's moving up because the drops to me were mental.
Yeah.
So mental as in like
I make
word.
Players in week 9, I make them show me it more than one time in the entire season.
That's perfectly
so we'll
fine.
See. The jury's out for me. Jason, do you have any thoughts on Matthews?
I love how many targets he gets and his opportunity. I'm fine playing him because his floor should be high.
All right, big running backs this week. Stud Muffins, DeAngelo Williams. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I had a couple.
27, 170. 2 touchdowns. 2 for 55 through the air. Monster.
I heard some people that were saying this was before their waivers went through, like, man, I was planning on putting 50 waiver fab, but after listening to your show, I feel like I got to spend it all. I got to spend all 87, and they did, and they got him, and they're happy. Because he's really good.
Even let's say DeAngelo Williams does nothing for the rest of the year. DeAngelo Williams got you a victory on his own. Yesterday,
and it was impressive. Total yards through the roof. He's the man.
And when I say that, he's going to continue to be great. He has the Browns next week.
Well,
people.
I got a tweet or a message.
The Browns.
Well, yeah. And somebody said, here's what they said. They said, do you just go trade D-Will on the heels of that and his monster game and go get a king's ransom for him?
What's the ransom?
No.
Correct.
I don't. I keep DeAngelo Williams, and then I play him because that offense is too good, and it was just set up for Lev Bell, and you're going to get similar production from D-Will because no one else is rotating in.
It's so funny. We've got a guy in our league of record whose team was not very good after the draft, right? And I always said you don't win championships as a draft. He now has DeAngelo Williams and Devonta Freeman. I mean, and it's like, can you get a much better combo than those two guys who before the year, if we were to say, oh, you're starting running backs, D-Will and Devonta Freeman, like what's happening?
Yeah, you would have, I mean, both of those guys are baseline high boom.
Yeah.
And we saw this because Devonta Freeman almost pooped in his big boy pants. I don't know if you saw his rushing line.
Yeah, it was not good. It was like 12 for 12.
12 for 12.
That's like Chris Ivory.
Oh.
Chris Ivory is annoying me, if you didn't notice.
I could tell.
And he came out last week and he called the offensive line out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's really going to help.
It's time to look in the mirror.
Yeah,
Chris Ivory.
It's both. It's always both. Lamar Miller, 12 for 44, 2 touchdowns, 7 for 97 through the air, where he ate.
Yeah, huge game.
Filled up.
Quick question to continue.
Quick question. Lamar Miller is right now ranked what running back?
Before this week?
No, after this week, including this week.
An RB1.
No. What number?
4, 5
3.
Yeah, it's got to be really high.
after this week.
After this week, he is the number 3 running back.
He's had like 2 40-point weeks now.
Yeah,
in a row.
I love
Man.
it.
Not in a row, but
That just
within
doesn't
3
seem
weeks.
Devonta
right.
Freeman, Mark Ingram, Lamar Miller.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Thank you. He's pointing out
letting people know.
another guy that he has on his team. Carlos Williams, 9 for 110, 2 touchdowns. Carlos Williams doing what Carlos Williams does.
He's good.
Big yard touchdowns. Are you secretly hoping LaShawn McCoy sits on Thursday?
I am. I think LaShawn McCoy should go to the spa, get a mani
chill.
pedi, get a full body massage. Let that shoulder really heal up, and let me play Carlos Williams.
Till he gets concussed again?
Hey, that was one
he
time.
won't. All right, DeMarco Murray is an RB1, my friends. 18 for 81 and a touchdown, 6 for 78 through the air. The workload is there. That doesn't mean Ryan Matthews wasn't more efficient with his carries, but you can be very confident with DeMarco Murray moving forward.
Yeah.
Yep.
Adrian Peterson, 29 for 125 and a touchdown. They just lean on him so much. He's the league leader in rushing now, and it should continue.
Yeah, we'll continue like his fumbling. This
Yeah,
is old
too
school
fumble.
Adrian Peterson this year.
Yeah.
They still won.
Yeah, they won. LeGarrette Blount, 29 carries, career high, 129 and a touchdown. Obviously, Deion Lewis went out in this game, so Blount should be a good start with the occasional game that they probably avoid him completely for some reason.
It's so frustrating to have a Patriots back like that. I mean, you've got a guy that I think every game could put up a line of 25, 101.
He did
but
look
they just
good.
choose. Yes, I agree with that. He doesn't. He's gotten some unfair slack on that. He's not a good player. And I watched some of those runs, and he got yards that not every back would have got. So props to you, LeGarrette Blount.
And apologies to Christopher Harris. James Starks, 10 for 39, 6 for 83 and a touchdown through the air. Like Mike said, the screen game. Is he the guy that... Could you start him?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
We had some big games from tight ends. Delanie Walker.
Huge game.
7 for 95 and 2 touchdowns. This is my start of the week, guys.
Yeah.
Pretty good. He was the number one.
There
tight
was
end.
just... And it was inevitable. It really was. I mean, it wasn't... I'm not a genius. It's just Kendall Wright was out, and Mariota was back, and they got to throw the ball to somebody, and nobody wants to throw it to Justin Hunter. Nobody wants to do that.
Hey, Justin Hunter got a touchdown.
I know. But Delanie Walker had a huge week. Tyler Eifert, 3 touchdowns. We talked about it at the Thursday night game. Owen Daniels said...
This one's my favorite.
Owen Daniels said, hey, Vernon Davis, you ever seen these moves?
Honestly, Owen Daniels looked like a different player this week. All of a sudden, Vernon Davis gets traded for, and Owen Daniels is like, "Oh, I got to give it my all."
He looked the same to me.
Even the commentators were like, "He looks faster this week."
Yeah.
It's like,
When you're putting up production, you always look faster.
Yeah, Vernon played 9 snaps. For everybody that went and grabbed him, we said it would probably take some time, and it's going to take some time. He ran a fly down the sideline that I thought was going to be a touchdown until he didn't put his arms up to catch it, which was strange to me because most of the time, I mean, I've played a little football. I always put my arms up to catch it.
yeah.
Richard Rodgers, 5 for 19, but 2 touchdowns. Good luck starting him moving forward. You're never going to know, but there's a lot of tight ends in that category where you're kind of counting on a touchdown to make or break your day. So I guess a guy with Aaron Rodgers is okay.
Absolutely.